Hey there, welcome in or welcome back. My name is Avril, and in this corner of the internet, we chat about writing, life, and whatever else comes to mind. And like I mentioned in a recent video, summer gets really hectic for me because my day job goes into extended hours, which means that I am working longer shifts, more days a week, and my writing time is a little bit reduced. But that doesn't mean that I am not staying connected to my current work in progress. Throughout the past few years, I have found plenty of ways to feel connected to my project, even when I'm not able to be actively working on it. For those times where life just pulls me away and I cannot sit down and actively write for as long as I would like to. In today's video, I am sharing 8 of my favorite ways to keep that connection alive between my characters and stay immersed in the world of my story, even when I'm not able to sit down at my writing desk and add words to the page. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Before we kick off the video in earnest, though, I do feel I have to do the obligatory YouTuber thing of telling you to subscribe to the channel and like this video if you find any of these tips helpful or something that you want to bring into your own writing practice. And with that formality out of the way, the first thing on my list is probably the most common writing tip you'll hear in terms of staying connected to your story, and that is to carry a notebook with you at all times. This doesn't have to be a physical notebook, it can be the app on your phone, for example. The main thing is just being able to write down any thoughts that come to mind when you are away from your story. Writing time is often scarce enough as it is, and you don't want to be spending a lot of that scarce time trying to remember that thought you had 3 or 4 days ago. Having a designated place to keep track of all of your writing ideas between sessions, it's not only about keeping you organized, but it also makes it easier to sink back into your writing when you are able to return to it, because you have all those notes to refer back to and new ideas to jump off of. Number 2 is another pretty common one, and honestly a staple for my own brainstorming and writing process as a whole, and that is to create a story playlist. This could just be an encapsulation of the overall vibes or character theme songs, or it could be more like a soundtrack broken down chapter by chapter or scene by scene, where every big important plot point gets its own track on the playlist. I could and probably will eventually make an entire video dedicated to my story playlist and how I put them together, because for me, I really get very deep into it. I find that it can be helpful not only for understanding your characters or envisioning those scenes, but also just pacing the book overall. I take it a little too seriously if I'm being honest with myself, but I guess that's just the consequence of being a former college radio DJ. So. Creating a playlist for your story is a great way to stay connected to it when you're on the go. For example, if you are doing grocery shopping, or you're commuting to work, or you're at the gym, or even if you're just doing things around the house and want a little music to go with it. And I may or may not have subjected my coworkers to my own story playlist a time or two out in the lobby. And who knows, curating this playlist for your story may even help inspire you along the way. I mean, I can't be the only one who's been out and about, heard a song on the radio, and went, that is so them. Tip number 3 is one that I actually do have an entire video about, and that is the story candle. If you're unfamiliar, a story candle is essentially a candle chosen to represent your current work in progress as you're working on it. Most times it'll be based on the fragrance of the candle being connected to the story in some way, whether that is the setting or a character or a specific scene. Many writers will choose to have this candle lit as they're working on their project, but that doesn't mean you can't have it burning at other times as well. So this is my current story candle for Project Scrimmage. It started off as a lavender bergamot candle, but then I melted it down and modified it a little bit, adding a lemon fragrance oil to create that lavender lemonade fragrance that I was really seeking when I was looking for that story candle for that project. And trust me, I know that July is way too early for anything fall related to be rolling out, but I am really eager to be seeing all of the autumn fragrances coming out because the story is predominantly set during the fall, so I'm feeling really tempted to pick up a seasonal candle for this project as well. But of course, if candles are not your thing, you can also go for wax melts or rune sprays, or even like a wall plug would work too. Number 4 is actually right behind me, and that is a mood board. So this is my mood board for A Tided Love, which is my Regency era project I've also been working on, not as consistently as of late since I've been prioritizing Project Scrimmage, but I still have a deep love for that project and do consider it my other ongoing project. So I do keep the mood board up behind me here on the wall. And my mood board for A Tided Love is also currently the wallpaper on my laptop, whereas the one I have for Project Scrimmage, which I haven't printed out yet, is the wallpaper on my computer for filming. Having that mood board or aesthetic board for your current work in progress is a great visual representation of all of your thoughts on the page and all of your inspiration for that project. Creating a mood board or an aesthetic board for your current work in progress is a great way to kind of compile all of your ideas together and have a visual representation of that project. I find it's really lovely to see all of those different elements of the story come together into one cohesive image. And in a way that does kind of help me when I'm feeling really scattered in my writing because here I can literally see the big picture. Number 5 is a new introduction to my writing routine that I've only introduced the past couple weeks or so, and that is ordering my coffee based on what I think my character would get. On the one hand, being able to literally taste your character's coffee order, cocktail order, dirty soda order, smoothie order, what have you, it's great as a reference point when you're writing, but I also find that it can help build that connection and literally give you a taste of your story. Perfect example, last week I was finding that I was in a bit of a rut with my usual coffee order. So instead of getting the same thing that I usually get, I decided to ask myself, what would Courtney get? So I ended up ordering an iced cappuccino. It was delightful. And it was also a great way to feel that connection to my project, even though I wasn't able to be working on it that day. And this can also translate to cooking your character's favorite meal or trying out a new baking recipe based on the overall vibe of your story. Number 6 is actually something that comes from my writing bucket list, but I figure why wait until I'm published? And that is on theme manicures. One of the big things on my writing bucket list is getting a manicure done inspired by the cover of my published book. Now, I am a long way from publishing, but I figure why wait until I'm published to start bringing this into my writing routine? While I may not have the cover of a published book to draw inspiration from, I do have an overall aesthetic and a few colors that remind me of my current projects. Lately, I've been on the hunt for a really nice green nail polish. Not only because green tends to be a color associated with football in general because of the field, but because green is actually one of the main colors in the logo for Liam's football team, the Wolves. What can I say? Having a story inspired manicure is really just another way to keep your story at your fingertips. Number 7 feels pretty adjacent to number 6, and that is finding ways to bring your characters and your story into your wardrobe. This doesn't mean you have to go completely overboard with adding new items and do a complete closet overhaul, but it can be fun to bring one or two new accessories representative of your project into your everyday wear. Maybe your main character loves a good cardigan and you happen to find one in a color that they love, so you pick it up for yourself and wear it during your writing sessions. It could also be something really small, like a ring that you incorporate into your everyday wardrobe because it reminds you of your story, and that way you can always have a part of it with you, even when you are apart from it. And last but not least, number 8, give yourself permission to daydream. It is beyond important to find those little bits of time, even if you're not actively writing, even if you're not picking up the pen or opening up your laptop to add to your manuscript, but to find those little bits of time to continue to immerse yourself in the world, think about your characters, and just kind of wonder what comes next. Coming from personal experience, I find it is so much harder to come back to a story when you haven't been immersed in that world at all. So give yourself permission to entertain the what ifs and daydream and imagine all the things that'll happen next. Just make sure that they are not overtaking work and all those other obligations that have to come first. In reality, it's really all about finding balance between your writing, your life, and whatever else life throws at you. And that is where I will be ending the video for today. If you made it this far, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day here with me in this corner of the internet. Be sure to like and subscribe and do all the things for more writing, life, and whatever else comes to mind. And in the comments, be sure to let me know if there are any tips that you'd like to share and add to my list, or if anything on my list appeals to you and is something you'd want to bring into your own writing process. And on that note, I will see you in the next one. Bye.